Yeah.
Now, the 2006 coup, you just mentioned that.
Yes.
Why did Bainimarama carry out that coup? And I also understand he made a number of promises. What did he promise?
Well, he promised no military officer would stand for elections, right? What a joke. Said no military officer would benefit from the coup. What a joke. I mean, he and his family have been the biggest beneficiaries. And he, in fact, is probably the greediest prime minister Fiji has ever known, right? And it doesn't have to do anything, right? He just supports Qayyum, whatever he does. Qayyum, all the dirty work is done by Qayyum, and even his speeches written by him. So, Graham Davis says, on his blog, Bainimarama is just a puppet who's been played by his master ventriloquist, Ayaz Qayyum. Right? Well, there's also, in my opinion, other puppet masters behind the scene who have benefited and who are the power behind the throne, which is the military council, whoever they are, a very shady set of people, right? Anyway, why did Bainimarama do the coup? Well, between 2000 and 2006, Garase had tried to not renew his contract, and he refused to obey orders from the civil service or from Garase that there will be a new commander, right? There were investigations into the misuse of military funds. Millions were given to a well-known store in Wamano Road. I won't name that store, right? Only half was used for goods. The other half was used for the benefit of a few select RFMF officers, right? Kept by them. And then the most important to me, and this is something that I just find it very hard to believe. Who cares what historians and academics like me write and all that, right? Who cares? I mean, right? But the police commissioner, Andrew Hughes, the last honest police commissioner we had, is an Australian guy, right? When he fled for his life to Australia, he told ABC News that one reason for the 2006 coup was that they were investigating Bainimarama's part in the 2000 mutiny. And what happened? He says, and I quote, he's been resistant to the investigation into the murder of the CRW soldiers in 2000. This is Andrew Hughes. And Andrew Hughes was backed in that statement by Australian Foreign Minister Alexander Downer, right? And the reason why I think he was backed is that when Andrew Hughes escaped from Fiji, he took all the files with him. So I suspect that the Australian ASIO has got all these files, right? But so that was the first set of reasons, why Bainimarama did it, his own self-preservation. He could not allow Garase's government, the Fiji, the SDL, Fiji Labour Party coalition government to continue ruling. He had to do the coup to stop them, right? And he disobeyed. He disobeyed orders from the prime minister. He committed, sedition and all that. There was an investigation of misuse of funds and all that. I mean, a lot to answer for. So by remaining as commander and by becoming and getting rid of Garase's government, he saved himself from prosecution.
Which brings me to the second point that you made, and that was the active collaboration of civilians, some knowing that they were supporting something wrong. But you said there were many good people who thought they could do good in Fiji, even if they were supporting treason. But they were all betrayed, you said, and most went away quietly, including all the people who took part in the People's Charter exercise. What did you mean by this statement? Please
Yeah,
explain.
well, this is something which I grappled with because many of the people who supported the Bainimarama military government, they were my friends. We were friends for 30 years, 40 years, and I couldn't understand what the hell's going on. All
Yeah.
these people, none of them thought they were doing evil. None of them thought they were doing wrong. They actually all believed that Bainimarama's rhetoric, we're going to eliminate corruption. And then when people like John Sami and them came to Fiji to went through the charter exercise, which was it was chaired by the late Archbishop Matada, right?
Mhm.
All my good friends, including Aquila Yambaki, Robin Nair, and all that, right? My stalwarts from FLP, Arya Samaj, many USP academics, right? They all joined in this charter exercise because they thought Bainimarama was going to remove corruption. He was going to bring about equality in Fiji, between Fijians and Indians and others. He was going to call everybody, Fijians. He was going to have one vote of equal value and all that. And they all believed that this was all good things. And so a military coup to remove a properly elected government was okay, as long as you've got these good objectives. And to me, it reminded me of what people were saying in 87 and 2000. You remember, Sashi? The cause justifies the means.
Means.
Well, I've always felt that the method is just as important as the cause. And a coup is a coup is a coup. you can't achieve good by taking a fundamentally false position. And in the process of 2006 coup, I tell you what, the Indo-Fijians have left the moral high ground, and they're now right on the bottom with all the other people who've supported coups over the years. And Fiji is ready for a genuine reconciliation. But the thing is, the charter, to its great advantage, great credit, although they pretended to have this signing exercise all over Fiji that 425,000 people over the age of 18 have signed it, consulted, and 92% have approved it. The percentage came down to 67% later. But unfortunately, it also said, we, the people of Fiji, we commit to support the constitution. Well,
Mm.
Bainimarama wasn't interested in supporting the constitution, and neither was Kayum. They had other plans. So the charter was conveniently forgotten, and John Sami went away, right? But John Sami is a decent bloke, I tell you, right? He is one of those guys who honestly is a radical guy. He's a socialist fellow. He had quite a lot of interaction with me, and I absolutely like him, right? He and Archbishop Matada, the late Archbishop Matada, they protested to Bainimarama in a letter of 2010. This is
Are you
quite
pri-
early on.
are you are you
Yeah.
privy to that letter?
Oh yes,
Have
it's
you
on my
ever?
website. Yeah, no, it's on my
Okay.
website. Yeah, it's on
So
my anybody can read it, and so I'm quoting for it. And this is
okay.
2010, right? He's one of
Hmm.
Bainimarama's biggest supporters. If you remember, he was going to New York, and helping Bainimarama speak at the UN and all that, right? And he says in his letter, he and Archbishop Matada, they said the interim government has betrayed Fiji on the most solemn of its promises. This is John
Wow.
Sami and Archbishop Matada, right? And in the abrogation of the 97 Constitution, the imposition of the public emergency regulations for more than 2 years, there's a growing sense of fear amongst the population. There are serious issues of transparency, accountability, and overall governance. There's a militarization of the key institutions of the state. This is a very serious criticism made by John Sami. The handling of the pension issues, FNPF, and there's a feeling amongst those who have supported you, there's a growing feeling of being betrayed by you, and that you're only paying lip service to the principles of the charter. Now, people should understand John Sami more. He's one of the first graduates of USP. He was pushed out of his job as a director of planning office in 1987 because of the coup and the cleanup of Indo-Fijians from the civil service. He felt very bitter, but he was a person of great ability, and he went and joined the ADB, and he rose in the ADB. He was actually head of the office, ADB office in Vietnam and all that, where I think he learned about the charter exercise. He's a person of great ability, and Fiji lost him, because he emigrated after the 87 coup. And here
Okay.
he is. He and Matada were saying all these things, right? It's not my words; those are his words, right? But 2010, it was all too late. By the time certain people had got hold of the reins of power, and they were charging full speed ahead.